Hello, welcome back to my channel. Um, it's a Monday evening here, and I just got back from, I just got home. And I thought I just want to ramble about Muriel Sparks' Memento Mori. I think I finished this one like a couple of weeks ago, and I loved it. I think this book left a fairly deep impression on me because I just thought that the way this book was written is just so creative, and it's also quite thought-provoking, and on top of that it was entertaining. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, and this would be my 4th book by Muriel Spark. And I find Muriel Spark to be a really interesting writer. I've not read all of her books, obviously, but from some of the ones that I have already read, I find that Muriel Spark's writing is just very interesting in a sort of unique way. Like, when I read Muriel Spark, I could tell that she has a very, her writing style has a very unique flavor. That you can really feel this kind of cynicism just permeating throughout the narrative. Like, it's as if the narrator just does not like these characters. Like, the narrator just has a little bit of contempt towards the characters of the book, and I just find that to be kind of, I don't know, interesting, because it gives this extra taste to the novels themselves. Now, another thing that I find to be kind of interesting with her writing style is that sometimes the narrative can jump through, jump between different timelines. So these temporal jump can make the stories feel a little bit disorienting, and sometimes, that did happen to me. I think especially with the Girls of Slender memes, I think that one was kind of confusing. I mean, it wasn't so heavy, but I guess at that time, the vibe just didn't really match with me. I still could feel like the writing style of Muriel Spark was really interesting still, but that was threw me off. But this one, the temporal jump in this particular book, I think it works well for me. Yeah, it works well. I mean, I gave this one 5 stars after all, so it was really it was a really good reading experience. So yeah, those are just some of the things that I feel that are just kind of what I thought was personally interesting with Muriel Spark's writing style. Now, so what is Memento Mori about? Now, imagine you live in the 1950s Britain, and then you're like an elderly person, and then imagine you are an upper class elderly person, and then one day you receive a phone call, mysterious phone call that tells you that to remember that you must die. Like, how would you react to it? So basically, that's just kind of like the premise of this novel. We have a group of upper class Britons who are most of them elderly people. They suddenly receive this mysterious phone calls, and and basically this phone call just kind of wreak havoc in their lives. But as we read further into this book, the phone call turns out to be not the only thing that happens in here. We discover more things about these characters and why these characters are interesting. So basically, we find out more tea about these characters, because apparently they are, even though they're like elderly people, turns out they are so much drama that are happening, among these elderly people. Um, they they get spiteful, they get petty, um, they they scheme to get whatever they want, and we also find out what happened to among between these elderly characters when they were younger, and how that just kind of like culminates into whatever actions that they decide to take at the present at the present time in this novel. So yeah, a lot happens in this book, and I am not really interested in going into details about the details of the plot. But yeah, this book has plenty of drama involving elderly people. And I just find that really amusing, because I feel like this aspect of the book get coupled with this mysterious phone call plot line. It just kind of, it feels like a really elegant vehicle to kind of discuss the idea of death, and also an aging, particularly the inevitability inevitability of these two things. And the way it is done, also the way these two things are being explored, is also injected with some humor in the writing, which makes this book even more entertaining. Like, this is probably one of the books that one of the few books that I find myself giggling as I was reading it, because certain parts are just kind of hilarious to read. And also this is kind of like one of the aspects of Muriel Sparks' writing that I've also noticed in some of the ones that I've already read. Like, sometimes she can get funny. Her humor is interesting. It is dry. It is sarcastic, but it's it's fun. Her humor is done at the expense of her characters. But yeah. What I really like about this book is that there is something that is just kind of absurd about the havoc that is happening among the characters in here, and I feel like it is going to I think it is, your mileage may vary, depending on how you feel about the combination of the absurdity, the discussion of death and aging, the characters being mostly elderly people, and also the writing style. All this combination, I feel like they fit very well for me. But one of the things that I thought that was just so great about this book, that just kind of makes me that just kind of lingers in my mind a long time after I finished reading it, was just there is also a bit of a element of mystery, element of speculation as to where this phone call could come from. And I feel like the way this book handles that speculation, it is done, and in my personal opinion, is done in a very very beautiful way. Now, you might think differently if you have read this book, like how this book approaches that part of of the plot line, but I find that it was done very nicely. What else? Yeah, oh yeah, so I mentioned earlier just now that this book is full of drama, and I just find it really interesting that the drama is also something that I think does not exist just for the sake of the drama. Like, the drama really kind of triggers you to have more question about what is the purpose of this book, because it feels like so many things that are happening in this book that it feels kind of chaotic, but it feels like there is also a very streamlined purpose to all of this mess, which I find to be super super wonderful to read. Like it kind of makes you think about like okay, how does this book relate to us? Like I think relatability is something that a lot of people pays a lot of attention to, and I personally think that in that sense this book is going to be relatable to everybody, because this book talks about death, and it talks about aging, and I am fairly sure that everyone who is okay, well, I don't want to be too sure, but I am fairly confident that most of the people watching my video right now is going to experience or is experiencing aging, and I'm also sure that most of y'all are going to experience this totally natural thing called death, like me included. Like this is something that everyone is expected to experience eventually. Like this eventuality and also the inevitability of death is definitely something that many people can connect to, unless of course if you are an immortal vampire, which maybe you are, maybe you are, I just don't know, maybe you are. In that case, maybe this book won't feel like as relatable to you, but for the rest of us it probably could, it probably is, you know what I mean? So what else? Yeah, and also this idea that how sometimes people just get kind of distracted from these things, and I just thought it's kind of funny in an absurd way that you have like literal reminders that characters are gonna die, and then still these characters are engaging in this really stupid and entertaining but really stupid kind of drama. And yeah, the way that this book concludes, it is also just kind of, it makes you think. So those are just some of the things that I feel about reading Memento Mori. It was a really wonderful book. When I finished reading it, I was just like it was kind of breathtaking. So I am looking forward to reading more by Muriel. In fact, I feel quite ambitious right now, and I already located some books by Muriel that I possibly have in my room right now to prepare for more Sparkian adventure this year. Hopefully that adventure would yield something fruitful to me. I know that my experience with Muriel has been kind of inconsistent in the past, but still, I'm looking forward to experience more of that wonderful writing. So if you have read this book, what do you think about it? Did you like it or did you not like it? Or if you have read any other Muriel novels, what do you think? Do you like her writing style? And do you have any recommendation? Like, do you have any recommendation on authors who write very similarly to her, who has like very similar vibe as her? I would love to know more about that, because I'm always on the lookout for something new. So I guess that's all I want to say in this video. So take care. I'll see you again in a different video. So bye.